Welcome to our Ho 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 Santa project. This could almost be called all things sparkly and shiny. This is a blast to do. We have got some really fun elements. We've got his nose, which is a takeoff on the Deck the Halls. It's got a magnet behind so I can position it, take it off for storage, gives it three-dimensionalness. I also have taken a magnet and I've attached this snowflake here. I could attach it to the back as well. And I've got my Santa hat flap here, so he's actually flapped over the front. So I could magnet that together, or I could magnet it just onto his tassel. Either way is going to work out fine. I've glued this one on, and because I want to thread him in via the little hanging pom-pom, that's why this one needs to be magneted, because I need something to be able to swoop over. I've got some other snowflake accessories, embellishments. And then these are all cut out and they're embellished with the snow rider and some glitter. And we've just had too much fun. I've got rhinestones in his beard. I don't know if you can see them. He's a fun project. He's not real scary, but he's going to be just awesome for your front door or wherever you hang your banners at. We've got some really amazing new sizes. In the video I'll show you how to resize. So you can do standing words, you can do a different size banner, you can do an ornament. And we've even got, wouldn't he be cute with the Let It Snow banner topper up there as well. So you could even swap things out. You can, like Bob's your uncle right now with banners, you can do just about anything that you want. Alright, so I wanted to talk about how you can do so many different things with these cutouts. So you can make an ornament. It's got a little hole here to hang it on your tree, so you could paint it just like this, hang it on your tree. You can make a mini banner. There's a medium-sized banner. There's this regular standard size, for me anyway, that you can use. But then you can also, I painted this for the standing surface a couple weeks ago. Here's an ornament size. Here's a stencil, banner size. So you can do any combination of things. You can stencil it onto a piece of like a standard wood banner. You can use it as a standing surface all by itself. You can make it into ornaments. You know, there's so many things that you can do. And then let's talk about for a second, I had done this snowman a couple of weeks ago. Many of you already may have this. Wouldn't it be cute to make him into a banner and give him a Let It Snow banner topper right there? So you could totally, or he'd even be cute with Ho Ho Ho. Okay, so but you'd have to of course expand it. Which leads me to the next subject, which is how do you decide how big to make these things? Let me grab a magical sizing dial. Okay, and a magical ruler. Okay, so what you're going to do is grab a bigger ruler. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to say, I want to enlarge my pattern to do this larger piece. So you'll just measure it from tip to tip, whichever dimension you decide you need, and that is exactly 8.5 inches from this edge to this edge. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you're going to put this one says your reproduction size, and this one is your size of original. So I'm going to put 8.5 inches, so there's 8.5 inches, and I'm going to line it up with what size I want it to be. I'll measure the exact same place. Okay, so that is 15.25. Okay, so I'll dial around here, and I'm going to line 8.5 up with 15.25. And right here between these two lines right here, it says I need to increase 180%. So it tells you exactly how much you need to increase or decrease. Let's say I wanted to shrink it down to this size. I would measure this size. Okay, and that is 4.5 inches. Okay, so this is the size of my original, and so I'll look for my 4.5 inches. Okay, and I want to go, size of my original is 8.5. Okay, right there, and then I want to make it 4.5 inches. So I'll bring my 8.5 over to my 4.5 and let them line up completely. Okay, and so I need to bring it down to, let's see, 50, that's, let's see, 51, 2, 3, 4, 54%. Okay, so this is your magical tool. So now you know I need to decrease my size 54%, and Bob's your uncle, and it's all good to go. So that's how you're going to deal with changing things out. But don't think of these things just as banner toppers. You know, this project that we're doing right now is also a banner topper, but it could easily just stand on your mantle. Okay, it could hang on your door by itself, actually. I think it'd be darling. We're going to start our prep for the Ho 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 Santa with getting some of our pieces ready. This comes in a stencil or in this cutout shape, and I really like the cutout shape, so I'm painting on that today. The stencil is going to be the same thing. You would just do what I do, but through the stencil if you choose to do it. But because this is plywood, and plywood can absorb moisture and has all kinds of things that go on with it like a natural wood does, I want to seal this. I'm going to use a matte spray. I'm going to take it outside, set it on a piece of cardboard or across a couple of old milk cans or tin cans, things like that. And then I'll spray it on both sides, taking care to look at my edges and stuff like that. And then that'll dry really quickly. And then I know I want to use this star stencil for my Santa's hat. And so I'm going to use a new product while I'm outside spraying that's called Tack 1000. And this product, what it does that I really like is it coats it evenly, and it does it really smoothly. Sometimes what I've noticed when I'm using Tack It, which I still absolutely love, when I don't want to spray something, I want to use Tack It. But I want to make sure that my Tack It gets really smoothly applied, because if not, then there's little bubbles, kind of bums, you know, whatever we want to call those. And they allow just a little bit of paint to get near my edges, and it's not becoming super crystalline clear. I used this the other night, this spray, when we had just a casual crafter night here at my studio. And I have like 3 or 4 friends that don't know how to craft, don't know how to do anything. And they wanted to all make a sign for Christmas, so they were using the stencils and papers and stuff. So I had somebody go out and just give this a spray. They didn't know what they were doing. They sprayed it, brought it in, whatever. They stuck. Everybody, including the people who glommed on the paint, had perfect results with this product. So I think it is absolutely amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this, and then you guys can see what the difference is as well. All right, I've got my banner fabric. Let's see how big this stuff is, so you can get yours cut. And we are about 1 foot by 31 inches. Okay, and this is a rather long banner, but it's kind of cool because it is rather long. You can make it smaller too. We've got it in a different size, so don't feel like if you feel this is too big. And don't forget, we're going to flop that over. So once we flop that over, it becomes almost a regular banner size. Okay, so I'm going to base the entire surface with slate gray. And the reason I'm doing this is because the undercoating for my beard, which is a lot of this piece, is going to be slate gray. And the face is going to be flesh tone, which is going to cover nicely. And red covers very nicely over gray, but not very nicely over black or white. So I want to go ahead, I'm using the rough side of the surface. I'm on my nonstick craft mat, so I can just make a big old mess and get the whole thing base coated. I like to base coat and do this before I trace the pattern on. And I don't like to paint on these cutout areas. So I'm going to get everything, base the gray, then I'll trace the pattern on. Got a new bottle of Snow White here. I'm just going to take my pop top and I'm just going to catch it right there on that corner, and it does a really good job because it rips the plastic, so all I have to do is unpeel it. It doesn't hurt my thumbs. I used to have like bleeding thumbs from opening bottles of paint. This was just plastic. I used paint adhesion medium, and I just painted this little pattern with my initial. This would make a fantastic gift for gift exchange type things because they're cheap, easy to paint, and it's just like it's so customizable. Okay, we're going to go in with our Snow White, and we're going to go, and I'm going to pounce on my jumbo dauber. And I've learned that I don't like trying to get into all these little nooks and crannies, and I knew I'd figure out a way to get around it. What I'm going to do is just with scant paint, I'm just going to pounce straight up and down. And let the edges be whatever the edges are. As long as I don't have dripping paint, it doesn't look bad. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and pounce, not with heavy pressure, just lightly. And that gives me a nice base coat, and it gets it all the way to the edges, and it looks really good. Alright, I figured out what I want to do with my first H. So I've got that example. I have to wait for my dots to dry before I can do that. So in the meantime, I'm going to make the bar and the other spoke over here the red color, and it's going to be tomato red. I'm going to use my fingertip dauber, and I'm just going to go straight up and down, and I'll do 2 coats, and I'm not going to worry about my snowflakes. They patch really easily. I haven't decided on my O color. I probably ought to figure that out. I think it's going to have to be red, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to use the stencil for, this is a whole bunch of candies. We've got peppermint candies, and you've got all the stripes and things. You've got 2 sizes of stripes, and they just fit right on here perfectly. I'll line it up so it goes over each edge just a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to use tomato red, and we're going to use our fingertip dauber. I'll pounce it off on my palette just a little bit. And we'll just leave this on here and then do a second coat. I'm just going to go right over where my snowflake interferes. And if you need to mask something, take a Post-it note or a little piece of tape and just go ahead and mask. Okay. And you can fill that in with your brush as well. I'll go back up here. Okay, so I'm going to repeat. I didn't use the skinny stripe for my green stripe because I didn't want it that big. And but base coating red stripes on a candy cane is a pain in the tushkies. So this is definitely the easy way to go. And I'll wait till that dries, then I'll repeat over here on my other letter as well. Oh, in the meantime, the O's are base coated, so you just use a brush for that with some soft black and deep burgundy. It's a 2-to-1 mix. All right, I'm going to use thinned Festive green to line the green on the candy cane. So I'm going to use my Mighty Fine liner. It's the perfect size liner for us female painters' hands, and the lines always come out awesome. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and make all those. I'm ignoring the fact that the snowflakes come in front of some of these letters. I'm just going to pretend like they don't, and that way it just keeps it a little bit more simple. Okay, while I'm waiting for things to dry, I'm just going to go back to my snowflakes, and I'll just pat on paint to patch them with a big fat round brush, and just really strong paint. You just want to kind of tap it on there, and that'll cover up in like 2 little coats, and it's really quick. Alright, our last little short brights got discontinued, so I'm testing out this new one, and I've got to say it is just fantastic. When you have to float with control, you have to get a different kind of brush. The long bristle ones just don't work as well. You just can't get the paint to do what you need to. So I'm going to use Deep Midnight Blue and the Short Bright, and I'm going to do all of the red, all of the white on the side, and I'm going to turn it on the chisel. So we don't want this floating all the way across this letter right here. We want it to just go straight down and stay where you put it. So this is why we need this control, is because we're going to keep this contained. And then we're going to do the other side of the letter as well when that dries, and we're going to do the red in the, I'm thinking of the color, Black Plum. And get going with all these colors, I can't keep them straight. You want to make sure you have enough water in your brush, and then you turn your brush at an angle, and you'll do all of the red stripes. I also did the top and the bottom rails of the letters with a float, and I'll show you how to do this really cool dot trick that I used. Okay, do you see how I got these dots going smaller, tiny to big? Okay, these little guys right here are the magic. They are numbered little dotting tools, and it starts with, this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, and what that means is you can duplicate. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 going around on the bigger size one. So I can take my #1 dot and dotting tool, and you always want to dot with fresh paint. Okay, and so I can take this tool and I can make some dots at the top. And then I can switch to #2, if I can read them, because I've got them so messy. I can continue on down, switch to #4. We'll bring #4s into the middle here. And I'll wipe these off. And then I'll go over here to let's do #2 over here. And walk it on down, and then finally we'll end up at #3. Give it one little plop over there on the palette. And then you've got a really easy way of easily figuring out which is going to be the bigger and graduated dot sizes. But I think it gives it some weight at the bottom and it looks really cool. And while we're waiting for dots to dry, remember, if your dots are wet, you might want to grab out your bridge if you're going to be if you're prone to running your hands through things. This is acrylic and you can get your hand up there, do all your dots, and continue working without getting your arm through the dots. We're going to take the glitter Glamour dust paints in the Sizzling Red, and we're going to do a coat over the O's. When you're using the Glamour dust glitter paints, you want to make sure that you're always going over a color. They're very sheer, so they act almost like they're a glaze, but they dry with embedded glitter, and what's cool about that is it doesn't sprinkle off all over the place. So it's not like that dangerous glitter where once you get it out, you're going to have glitter on everything for the rest of your life. This stuff is all contained within the medium, and it never comes off. You can scrub at it and everything, and it just doesn't move. So I'm just using this slightly a little bit lighter color red just to add some shazowie to my O's. Alright, we're going to take our deep midnight blue, dark midnight blue, deep, and we're going to shade the snowflakes on the edges of the letters. And I don't know if I'm going to do the ones inside the O's yet. Just make a nice strong blue shade and use your bridge. All my dots and everything are still wet. So I can just use this and go right over and keep working. I don't like the downtime. I don't like to have to wait for things to dry. I'll flip them around and continue. Okay, and I'll put that in the water, and then we're going to go ahead and put our highlights to make our candy canes look like they have dimension. I'm going to use a real nice, heavy, loaded liner brush, and I'm just going to do a skip line all the way down the candy cane. Okay, and that gives it that dimension like it's actually a turned little candy cane. And I'm going to use the Snow Rider to kind of give the impression that some snowflakes are coming over the top of my O's. Just going to give it some extra little points. Make that be a point. It's going to break the O up just a little bit. Get a little bit more interest. It's going to cover in one coat, which is fantastic. Get a little texture. Okay, and I'll finish over here with these as well. I'll just kind of draw that down to a point. Whatever the natural shape seems to be saying to you. And then the snowflake will be on top. I think we'll go ahead and finish that off with a dot there as well. And the snowflake will be falling onto the O instead of being behind the O. And then the other thing I want to do is bring some snow down my candy canes and my letters. Right off the top of the letter. And just go ahead and put that on nice and thick. We can bring some dripping down on the O. I'm just going to block that over. Okay, and a little bit over here on the on the bridge thing for the H. Okay, and I think that just really adds some dimension. And I can't decide, I think we need to go ahead and sprinkle it with just a little bit of glitter, but I'm going to prep my glitter tray first. Well, I can't find my glitter tray, which makes me kind of sad. But you have to let the drippy, snowflakey thing dry before you do this. I'm going to do a different snowflake glitter with this, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll wait and do these after these guys dry, and then I'll sprinkle Glamour Dust glitter over the top of them. Okay, and we'll float on the sides of the red letters as long as our dots are dry. And we'll float on both sides. Alright, well, waiting for things to dry, we're going to decide which of these hills is on the top and which is on the bottom, and we'll shade it with the deep midnight blue, and we'll draw it along, and then shade the underneath part. Draw that long. I have a plan. I hope it works. Just draw that along. Okay, and then where the letters go over, you're going to shade underneath. And I guess I need to make the rest of this white. Okay, that just gives it a nice little swirly snow feel. Alright, I'm going to shade here and there where things join other things, like the centers of the snowflakes. And I want to stay out of my crusty stuff. And we'll just shade single bands or bars of these on one side, just to give it hints of blue. Shade where these guys join. Ooh, I need my bridge. Okay. Wet stuff everywhere. One thing I wanted to say is I always forget not to glitter until I varnish, because I never get to varnish until after I'm done filming. And so I always forget to say that, but you're not supposed to glitter until after you've done your varnish, and then you can put your glitter on top. So you could do your snow on the top and then glitter it after. You can do the brush on Glamour Dust glitter paints. Now, I didn't use regular glitter on these because I didn't want them to go like crazy or shizawi, you know. So it's really important that you balance your intent, if you will. Okay, I'm going to finish my snow up with my blue. And then we are going to do a kind of fun glitter technique. Alright, I love, love, love the look of texture glass with snowflakes, but I'm not going to want to spend a whole lot of time frosting it on there, especially on cutout pieces. So I'm going to apply some of this to my bottle with a little applicator tip. There's nothing like, oops, texture glass. So I'll just make a big old giant mess here. And you can keep this for later. I don't know how long it'll keep. These are not expensive jars. So I don't know how long we get to play, but I'm going to fill just enough, and I might just go ahead and squeeze it back in. Okay. So I'll call that enough right now. The texture glass has got texture, and it dries crystal clear, and it looks absolutely stinking gorgeous. So it is just a really, really neat product. So I've got my little tip here. Clip that off with my scissors here. Okay. And let's see how this works. I'm making this up as I go along. I got these new bottles, and I want the texture glass. I'm hoping that this works really well. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's great. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply texture glass first where I have put my blue. Okay, and in my middles, I think. Okay, and remember, it's going to dry crystal clear. Okay, then I'm going to go over my trash thing here. And I'm going to apply just a little bit of this blue glitter. To that. Okay, pounce it off. And then I want to apply texture glass to the rest of my stuff. This dries so beautifully crystal clear. Whoops, a little too generous right there. So it's almost like a snow applicator, but it's better because it's got the texture glass in it. Then I'm going to go with my Glamour Dust paint, or my Glamour Dust glitter, and I'll do that. Okay, I'll get that over there and I'll show you. Okay, so now we have just this kind of beautiful little merged looking snow glitter type thing. I want to show you one more thing. Okay, so these bottles, they come with a little cap that you can clip off, and you clip the tip to be whatever size. But say I want, where are you guys? Say I want to make a custom blend of glitter, because like that blue's just a little bit too blue. So I can mix, get my little funnel here, whoop, hello, and I can mix my Glamour Dust in there to have a little transitional color. You can just wash these guys out when you're done with them. Okay, and then we'll clip the end. All right, and we'll shake, shake, shake. Okay, and let's see if I can show you. There's that color. There's that color. And there's that color. So we could put just a little bit more in there, I think. Not quite transitioned enough. So we can mix our shades. If you wanted a pale silvery gold, then you could totally mix a silver and a gold together. There we go. That's much nicer. So see the difference side by side. This totally makes it a shaded color. You can mix darker, you can mix lighter. You're not stuck with glitter colors. And I think what I'll do is I'll use this mix of the two glitters for my center, because that's just a little bit too strong, and the other one is too white. I want a little bit of blue in there. Okay, I laid my blue line on the base, really stripy, and so while it's wet, I'm going to just scumble on through it to just kind of blend it up, and just get that all kind of coated. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I don't like. I don't like that. Okay, then while that's still wet, I'm going to take my snow writer, and I've got two of them opened right here, and I can't find which one. Oh, it's the one upside down. These work way better, all of these things, they work way better if you have them tilted on their heads. So now on the texture glass, I'm going to go ahead and drip some snow coming down from the edge. Some snow drifts. Okay, and that just gives us some texture to play with, and then that gets to be the Glamour Dust color. Alright, so a little bit of a happy accident. I don't have my glitter tray, but I do have these new funnels. And as I'm pouring this in on my piece of folded paper, I am super duper impressed at how much easier that is to get the glitter back into the jar. It has a nice wide area, and of course it's going to catch everything as it goes in. So not such a bad replacement for a glitter tray. As I'm doing these little cut snowflakes, what's really neat is by putting the bottle right down onto the surface, you can control it not going over the surface. So I'm really enjoying the applicator version of trying to get this stuff texture glassed. The other thing that you can do to control this is to use very fine amount where you want it to fade, and a heavier amount where you don't, where you want it to be stronger. Look at how pretty and crystally snowflakey looking those look. That's just cool. Love it, love it, love it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the big one for Santa's hat yet, so I'm just going to leave that off to the side, and I'll decide once I get Santa going. Alright, sometimes you get little nubs when you roll on the rock lawn, so I'm just going to lightly sand to bring those down. And I just want to knock the nubs down, that's all. I don't want to sand it smooth or anything like that. It's actually fairly smooth by itself, but these nubs just make it a little bit rough to paint on. That happens sometimes on floor cloth material too, so you'll want to do that for floor cloths or any other kind of fabric. The Ghost Rider is a triple, we call it a triple threat. This is a roller ball with no ink in it, and so what that means is I can do all my tracing and it just rolls right along. It's also got a white ceramic lead and a gray ceramic lead. On the other end it has an eraser that will erase your paint when it's fresh and erase your chalk lines when the paint is not fresh. So anyway, right now what I'm going to do is just trace my pattern. I always use a small piece of tracing paper because I used to always leave my wrist prints all over the place. And I always peek to make sure that it's all coming off. We want wax-free transfer paper. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and trace everything. I'm going to keep some lines kind of undulating and stuff. When I get ready to cut this out, I will cut it to whatever my brush strokes made instead of cutting it to whatever I drew here on the pattern. And also when you come inside here to his face, what we're going to do is we're going to trace just this outside of his face. And we're going to, let's see, bring that in. We're going to not do his eyes and his nose yet, okay, although his nose will be face colored. Alright, so I'm just beginning to shade the other side, or to base the other side of my hat that's going to hang down, and I just trimmed it so that I could make sure it lined up. We're going to use Shading Flesh and a pretty good size, yeah, we're going to get clean water. I'm trying to float in water that I've rinsed red things in, and that's not working very well. So we've got Shading Flesh. And we're just going to shade the sides of his head or his face. And blend it out. We're going to lead with the toe of the brush and use sweeping motions. And notice I'm leaning my hand back. I'm leaning it down. Okay, so I'm not straight up and down on my brush. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a mop. Just because I need to go clean my water. Okay, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. I've done something strange over here with his face, so I actually have to go back and base that gray. Okay, I'll flip him back over. Okay, then we'll get his forehead. Under his brows. Pardon me. The get a line, just go ahead and wipe it off with your finger. As I was looking at this, I was thinking that we have all those guys in Kmart running around with beards these days, the Duck Dynasty dudes. I think Santa might have been the original Duck Dynasty dude. Okay, so I'm going to shade right here where his nose is going to be. I'm going to give him a little wood knob nose, just for dimension. It's going to be just a little cutie elf-like Santa. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and continue base coating my red and get that done so that I can move on with this face. Alright, I'm going to dry rub with some bleached sand. Okay, just here where he's going to be the highest. Round everything up. Okay, his nose is going to go there, so that gives you an idea where we're looking. Okay, and then I think we need to get his eyes traced on there so that I can see, well, so that he can see. We'll see where we're putting them so we know where to put his cheeks. Should we line everybody up real well? Alright, we've got his eyes marked. So I'll go ahead and lighten him just a little bit more with the bleached sand in the middle of his face. Alright, we're going to dry rub the cheeks. That's where you take, the dry rubbing is where you take and you put a dry brush, no water at all, can't even be damp. You put it in paint that's dry, no water in the paint, and you rub it all off on the paper towel. Okay, we're going to build from the center of his cheek to the apples of his cheeks. Putting his nose back on to see how he's looking. That's tomato red. Strengthening it. Okay, we're going to make the ends of his nose red with the dry rub. The dry rubbing eats up your paper towels. So he's getting redder. All right. I think that won't make his nose any redder right now. And he'll get a shine eventually on that little nose. That'll be plenty. Let's give him a little bit of that on his little lip here. We'll take it all the way over to the edge so it's not so highlighted like looking. Okay. And we'll go into his mouth with Antique Maroon. Okay, we're going to shade the hair area with graphite. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and just get that shaded so that the hairs are going to show. So we'll do it just like something's over and under. We'll shade underneath his mustachio. Under his mouth. Use a little bit of extra water, and I can see that my little ridges are kind of poking up there again. I don't know if it's water that makes it happen or what, but what I'll do is I'll just float this, and then when it dries I'll just give it a light sanding, and it ought to be just fine. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and give him a couple of curls in his beard. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and kind of show some just general areas. Let's get ya. Shoom. Okay. Get that other side of his mustache shaded. I'll give him a little bit of something going on in his eyebrows. His eyebrows need to happen after I get that fur on his hat. When you're doing Santa faces and things like that, always work from the thing that's furthest back forward. Okay, so his eyebrows are on top of or just under his hat. So the hat gets done, then the eyebrows go on top. but the hat has to go on over his fur, over his hair, his fur. Yeah, it's kind of furry. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with the graphite and my White Wonder rake, and I'm going to splay open my White Wonder really, really strongly, and I'll get more water. You never want to do this over your project like I am. Okay, I'll blot just a little bit, and then we want to create these kind of furry looking things, and the only way you'll get that is if you splay open your brush, or throw it on its face. Okay, so now we've got the fur, or the hair, the beard. Now we'll just go ahead and start giving him just some basic structure. I'm way back on top of my brush. It's I'm holding it straight up and down. Okay, we'll just go ahead and just form some hair. I want that to have a final curl there, so I'll just enhance that right here. I need a little bit more water and not blot off so much to get better flow. I think we'll have this one go the other way. Can't make up my mind right there. Okay, now we'll go into our next color. Okay, I forgot to do anything at all with his mustache. So we're going to do his give him a little bit of detail lines. Okay, and I think we'll go ahead and do some stuff in his brow here. Just give him some, I gotta pull it the other way. It's easier to pull towards you. Alright, now I'll go dirty brush into white, and I'll flail it open. And this is where we'll start adding his hair. More water, whoops, got a quick one in that red tinted water. A little bit stronger. You're going to do layer after layer until you feel like you got, you know, the right kind of texture going on. It actually doesn't layer after layer too bad. Oops, instead of the red. And we'll do some floating to help us establish some of the texture. Yeah, let's move it this way. Okay, and we'll overlap them. Now I'll start turning my brush a little bit on its side to get that stronger kind of texture. You see, I pulled back up here to his under his mustache and gave him some wispies just growing right out of the edge. That way it won't look so like stark and sudden, and then I can go back and give him a few heavies. Using bigger motions with my hand as I get down to the bottom, and just a little bit less water even. But make that all kind of going towards that curl. Gotta kind of keep it contained. I've got a lot of this wispiness going out here, but I've got to keep this cutout stuff is going to be a little bit difficult to do if I don't kind of keep it modified. This is just white, or Snow White, yeah, with just a little bit of water. Getting kind of fluffy looking, I like him. Okay, we'll come up here to the mustache. Same thing. Okay, now I'm going to work his mustache like one area at a time rather than big. And just give it little swipes. Let's straighten him up just a little bit. have some little stray hairs. Okay, we need a little bit more fur. Keep calling him furry. Okay, so do you also notice that I'm not getting him super duper white? We didn't base coat this white, we're just accenting the gray. If this was a red hat with a whole ton of white down here, this would not be very pretty to look at because it would be way too much white. Now we'll give him a couple of stronger things. Now start leading the eye where you want it. Maybe I'll end up floating in his mustache. We want to close off the boundaries of that beard. We don't want it leading all over the place. Okay, I've got that curl real strong down there. Okay, I need some more white paint. I think it's possible we might be getting to the end of this. Still need to float a couple of things, I think. Okay, I'm gonna go shoot him some eyebrows, even though I said I wasn't gonna. On his mustache a little bit more. And his mustache, I'm going to do that sideways thing. Make it a little fuller. Shape following. Alright, we're going to go into our white with an angle shader, and we're going to decide where we need some strengthening. And we're going to strengthen. Give them just a little bit more. Long projects drive me crazy, sorry. Being okay off camera. We're gonna Just strengthen where we feel like things are getting just a little too airy. Strengthen his brows there at the bases. His hair next to the edge. His mustache needs to be just kind of rounded out just a little bit where it's growing out there. Put his nose back on there, see how he looks. Okay, he's getting cute. Cute, cute, cute. All right, and I think it's almost time to leave this alone and go build other areas and then come back to it. All right, I'm going to use my short bright. Put out enough water in it, it appears. I'm just going to shade the whites of his eyes with deep midnight blue. I don't think I like that one shaded. Just the outside. Okay, and then I want to use the ultramarine blue. And we're going to try making his eyes be like really crystally pretty blue. And it's time for new water. So we're using this blue like a glaze. All right, we're going to go into his, what do you call that stuff? The red stuff, his hat. We're going to go into the red hat, and we're going to do a little kind of painterly moment. I'm getting painterly on myself here. And we are going to create some highs and lows and just some general kind of like texture. Get it all wet. Okay, we're going to go into tomato red, and we're just going to do some kind of high-low, let it sit there kind of moments. We can't have this flat and kind of boring hat when we have this crazy wild beard and big old nose and all that kind of stuff. Okay, and I think we'll go into a little bit of this country red, going to be too much the same. Let's go into the neons, okay, the fiery red neons. Okay, we'll just put that where we want to catch some attention. And blend it down just a little bit. Okay, and then when that dries, we'll do the same thing with the flip side. Okay, and I actually want to go and smooth out some of my chunkiness so that it's more like texture and less like chunks. Yeah, that makes me happier. Not so painterly. Okay, and at the same time we can go into the edges of the hat with black plum. And we can just go ahead and painterly shade it. And so you want to blend wet and wet to the edges, to the inside. So you blend into those colors. Right where that fur is going to come up and meet stuff. Okay, I think that'll do it. I'm going to go into our red with a angle shader and float right under his eye. Solid that up just a little bit, make it look a little less fuzzy. And we'll do the same thing with his lip. Strengthen the middle of his lip. Okay, I'm going to go in with some graphite. And I'm just going to put in a little bit stronger darks. I'm going to give him some low lights. And we will be layering back over the top of this. Reach down here. Go into his mustache. And I think I'm going to stroke backwards into his mustache. Oops. Way too wet. Give him a little bit of curl there at the end. Has some texture up there. And I think it might be time to do the hat. So I've got my Italian sash brush. Let me find one of the smaller ones. Okay, we're going to go in with our Italian sash brush and we are going to give him some shadows. I think we need to mix that. We'll mix it with his slate gray. It's just a little bit dark. And now that's a little bit light. Someplace in the middle here. And we want to create some fur texture. So I'm not going to pounce really, really hard. Okay. Okay, we'll get a little bit darker on the edges. That way it says, hey, we're round over here. Wipe out my brush. What great texture though, huh? Now we'll move into some white. And let's see where we want. That's going to hang down there. Then we probably want our whitest to be right over here. So I'll go ahead and just build that the whitest. Okay, and we'll walk it over here. And then just touch ever so lightly to the sides. I'll go into a little bit of Dioxazine purple. Just give us a little bit of Diox over to the side. And wipe out our brush again. And sparkly furry. There, that's probably one of the nicest fur, not fur, yeah, I guess it's fur brushes that I've used. And I think, you know, we could probably come down here with a little bit of that purple in our brush. And then white on top of it. Cool. Okay, and I'm trying to decide right now if I like the furriness of this coming over the edge. Okay. I think I'm good with that. And now I think we'll get out some desert turquoise. And our white Wonder Rake. Okay, and we're going to give him some kind of accents. And we'll go into the purple mix. And now we can go back up to his eyebrows. Wash my brush out because now it's time to get some crystally nice whites, some bright whites. Oops. This is not the time for your brush to fall apart. we'll just keep working at it. I think we're getting there. Okay, I'm going to float just a little bit more underneath his mustache. Just kind of choppy. And then I think I want to float underneath some of these curls. In front of this curl. In the little channel that bottom curl is hard to keep on camera. Okay, we need to float above his eyebrow on that fur. And then we'll fluff that back up. Oops, somebody was wet over there. Right through my fur. So I need to put my fur back on. Go. And okay, so I shrunk his eyes down a little bit, and we're going to give him some little creases over the top of his eyes. He was looking a little bit scared. So I decided he needed to have just a little bit of a more eye shape. And then we'll go ahead and shade right under his brow. And give him a little bit of a highlight. And we'll give him a little bit of a highlight on his cheek right here. And I gave him a highlight on his nose as well. Okay, we'll get him jolly yet, huh? And I think I want to use my chisel brush maybe and go into white. And I don't think I want my chisel brush. I think I'm going to go into an angle. I wonder what a dagger striper would do. Okay, let's give this a try. Way too many things on my table right now. Oops, that's the red water. I still haven't changed my water. I'm wanting a little bit stronger beard stuff. So if I lead with the toe of the dagger striper, and it's giving me a nice, strong effect. But yeah, it's pointier than it would be if it was just like the edge of a angle shaker. Sorry. This is one of those moments where trying to paint and talk is difficult at best. But that's filling him in just a little bit better. There's a little bit more body to his hair. right, I'm going to give him a couple of eyelashes. Get him sweetened up just a little bit. I've got his hat, the top part of his hat done, and I'm liking that. Okay, we'll go ahead and just line under his eye. Okay, once I get rid of the zombie look, I think we might have something here. I've gone ahead and sprinkled a couple of snowflakes in his beard, and I'm going to wait until tomorrow. I think what I want to do is have them be, I'm going to use some of these little crystals that you can glue on with the hot glue or with your bead and glitter glue. And so then right in the middle of these snowflakes, I'll put a little gem on each of them. And then on the middle of this one that goes on his hat, and we'll put a couple of those, as well as a bunch of glitter and stuff. I don't know that I'm going to glitter his beard, but I do think I'm going to do something maybe a little bit more structured, maybe a little bit of the snow texture stuff. So right now I'm going to let him dry. He's going to sleep here until morning, and we shall finish him up then. I'm going to glue a magnet onto the back of my snowflake. Now what's going to happen here, these are so strong, so you might have to get your husband to help you, but you slide them off. Okay, and then I'm going to just put a blob of glue. This is E6000. And then I've got to test to see which way, oops. Okay, we'll go the opposite way. And we'll let that dry. Okay, I have had, I don't know what is going on, but I figured I'd share it. The texture glass that I'm using is turning a little bit yellow, and I don't like it, and I don't know why it's doing it, and I haven't had it happen before. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use texture glass, which doesn't stay on the piece just as well as the other does, but I'll use it real flat, and that'll stick and do the glitter that I want to do. And so I'll use that same technique. This is a really big ornament, so same technique, just using a different medium. I had my Santa all folded up and rolled up. I wanted to cover a couple things that you want to make sure that you do with these things. You always roll, you never fold. I actually had it kind of flattened in the middle of its roll, and it totally creased. You never want to do that. And then when you unroll it, heat it with a blow dryer. And then sometimes, like say you still get like a little flip on the end of whatever, what I do is I just kind of warm it in my hand and I reshape it, and then I let it lay flat, and then for whatever reason I've never had any problem with things being, you know, wonky. So those are some things that you can try if you've ever had a problem with that. Okay, so we're going to get his eyes done, and I'll get my colors out for that. Alright, let's get in closer, and we're going to do his eyes. I've got them based with graphite, and I'm going to use, I've got baby blue blues and ultramarine blue for the shading. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to shade right here next to the edge of his eye. Just to give him a little bit more blues. And I think I'll just go ahead and glaze that. Yeah, I like that better. So once again, when you're using these short brights, it is super duper duper. When you want to use them is when you need control of your floats, and that's always going to be when you're doing small floats. Anytime you've ever struggled with a float just kind of getting out of control, it's more than likely because you have way too much brush happening. And it's easy to fix. Just get a different, or the right brush anyway. Okay, and I think I'm going to try shading the graphite with lamp black. See what that does for us. Just like a C stroke. Okay. Sure, I don't need to C stroke the opposite side too. And give ourselves the whites of our eyes. Okay, and I think we can make this cheek sparkle much more strong. And our nose sparkle can be a little bit more white, and I've got to fix where I got some white paint on it. And let's see what that looks like. Shoom, 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 shoom. Yeah, really awfully cute, huh? Alright, I've got my beard, and I want to make my snowflakes just a little bit whiter. And I noticed that where I used the white on my ho 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 up here is really, really white. So I squeezed out a little bit of Snow Rider. I'm just going to smoosh it into there. I think I'll stipple it. That might work a little bit better. Use a dome brush. Okay, I've got that done. I'm going to sprinkle that with just a little bit of Glamour dust. And then I'm going to do the other things, then I'll shake it all off together. Okay, we're going to do just a little bit more low light kind of stuff in his mustache. Give his brows just a little bit of a shade right there. Okay, and now maybe we'll put a couple of stronger whites in his mustache without making him look like a kitty cat. And I think our brows need just a little bit more as well. Shade in some hair here. Okay, and we'll go down here and just do a couple more like that. And I think he needs a little bit more highlights. And maybe we'll do a little bit with the texture. Get my snow going there. Let's see what that looks like. Gives him a little bit more of a boost. And I don't think I'll spray it, but I will let it dry. I don't think I'll sprinkle it with glitter, actually, is what I meant to say. All right, I want to apply little sequins. These are just little gems or jewels. They have them in all colors and sizes. These are all clear in different sizes, and these are all the same size in different colors. I'm going to do a series of these on the snowflakes here. I'm just going to put a dot of, and I guess I got to decide which one of these is a snowflake that I want to do. This dries clear, so you don't have to worry about it. I've got to go get some tweezers to do this. It's a little bit awkward, but very doable. That'll dry clear, and then they'll look really, really just jazzed up. I'm going to put them on my big snowflakes too. Alright, I found a little makeshift tool that I'm going to use. And what I'm going to do is put my little dot of glue down. A little bit more than that. Hello. I'm going to use a piece of my magic mesh. And I can peel those off. It sticks on there, and then I'll flip it over. Flip it over. And it holds on to it just tight enough so I can get it down there. And it did let me peel it off. There, go on, you can do this. Oh, the last one worked really well. There we go. So just, it's a little aid, a little bit tricky still, but I think this is going to be worth it. I think having his hat jazzed up is going to be really cool. Alright, so I had my yellowing, and I actually have a call into DecoArt. I'm really not sure if I sprayed with something and done something combinationally wrong, but I did definitely have a little bit of an issue. I may just have a bad product, I don't know. But until I resolve it, I'm going to just go over the top with my Snow Rider, which is not giving me fits, and make that whiter. This project doesn't have too much room for yellow. Sprinkle it with my glitter. And now I have a nice white snowflake. Okay, as soon as I get all dry, then I'll be able to assemble this thing.